Let's prep a week of nutritious, delicious, and hearty lunches, all on a budget. Are you feeling exhausted and trying to eat well through the week? Let me show you some ideas. This week, it is all about how to eat lunch and prepare for a week of lunches. This is fall right now, so I'm utilizing some of the seasonal foods that we have, like delicata squash and the kale, the end of my kale out in the garden, and a few other things. But you can, with this recipe that I'm going to show you, there are many variations that you can also use with different foods. Another thing that may be standing in your way of preparing foods ahead of time might be fatigue, or in my case, an injury. I have a hand injury right now, so everything I'm doing is taking about 3 times as long as it normally would. If you have a similar injury or you're feeling really fatigued, that you might want to do to help yourself out there, whether it's a food processor or there are some manual choppers that you can get. Be sure to try to bring those in. Anything that will make some of this food prep a little bit easier, especially with fatigue. What I'm going to make today is I'm going to make some Nourish Bowls. They are going to last for about a week. I'm doing it in a few different parts. So the first thing I'm going to use is a delicata squash because this is fall and I love these, but any kind of squash that you enjoy. This is what the delicata squash looks like. We cut the ends off of the squash and then cut it down the middle, and then we scoop out the seeds, and then we like I said, we cut them in little half circles, and this is how we're going to bake them. The other thing I'm using with this is a red onion, and the red onion is delicious. I love using onions. It just adds a lot of extra flavor to the food. I'm going to use both of these right now, and I'm going to get this going in the oven. So I'm going to set it at 375 and I'm going to check it in about 15 minutes. The next part of the bowl is going to be using kale. I'm using kale for a couple of reasons. One is because it's in my garden and it is still seasonal. The other is because it's a hardy green, and unlike something like spinach, it will last for several days without wilting. So with kale, I usually start by taking off the stem like this, or I will cut it off, and I'm not really in a place to cut right now, but I would cut it off similar to this, take that rib off of it, and then I'm going to take these small pieces and just tear them. I did this earlier, and what I'm going to do with this right now is I'm going to add some olive oil to it. It's about a tablespoon, a little over a tablespoon of olive oil, and then I'm going to take about a spoon of lemon juice, tablespoon of lemon juice, and mix this on it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt in here. I'm going to just blend these. So each leaf is going to have a little bit of the lemon juice and the olive oil and the salt, and that's going to help break it down. It won't wilt for quite a few days, but it will get softer and it will be easier to eat. Okay, and I think this is just about ready to sit. So we also call this massage kale salad. And it is a great foundation to use with bowls or to add things on for a salad alone. And here it is. So while the squash is baking in the oven, I'm going to work on a few other pieces that we want to use for the bowl. The first one is a grain. You can use whatever grain you would like. So I have a tricolored quinoa for this one. And the first thing I'm going to do to prepare the quinoa is I'm just going to put it into a sieve and I'm going to wash it. So once I've washed the quinoa, I'm going to add it to a pan. So I'm putting the quinoa on the stove. I've got it on a higher temperature. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I am going to turn it down and let it simmer until the water is cooked off of it. Okay, now let's start assembling the bowl. So I love having the combination of some cooked vegetables, some raw vegetables. You're getting benefit from both of those. Aside from the quinoa has some protein in there. It's actually a complete protein. I'm going to use some cannelli beans. You can use any bean that you like, that you enjoy. I'm using this one. And again, it probably comes down to having a lovely color combination on it. We're using raw kale that we've added the lemon juice and the olive oil to soften it. And then finally, we have the dressing that we've mixed. It's a tahini lemon dressing. Really, really easy to make. I didn't have to use a blender. I just mixed all of this together in the bowl. I have the quinoa ready from a little bit earlier that I'm going to use. So here's my multicolored quinoa. If you've heard us talk about the importance of phytonutrients, which are plant compounds that we find in all plant foods, whether they're vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, legumes, whatever, you want to eat as many colors as possible. And this is just another approach to how you do that. We have purples, we have greens, we have yellow, orange, and red and white all in here. Now that we've assembled 3 of our lunch bowls, I personally like to hold off putting the dressing on it until right before I eat it. So I will put the dressing in the individual containers alongside the bowls in the refrigerator to use at that time. So here is our finished bowl. We've got 3 and soon to have 5 lunches for the week. If you want the recipe for this one, go to integrating-nutrition.com, or there will be a link below, and let us know what you think if you do make it.